Let's bring in Vincent Reinhart this morning, BNY Investments Chief Economist, former economist of the FOMC. Vincent, great to have you. I got to know where your head is around this conversation and this morning's print, too.
So we're in pretty deep waters after the conversation with the bank president and Steve. But where we are, we think the Fed's going to cut 25 basis points at the September meeting. The PPI number this morning was not about if, it was about how much, because their decision to cut rates isn't about inflation. It's despite the fact that disinflation has stalled out. They're cutting rates because they're concerned about employment, the other half of the dual mandate. And traditionally, when they're worried about maximum employment, they tend to act. What this morning's number means is they aren't going to supersize the move. They've got to worry about the other part of the mandate, inflation. So it's 25, not 50.
Right. No argument as far as you're concerned that the asymmetry is greater on employment than it is on inflation?
Historically, they move more when they're concerned about employment. Part of the conversation you and Steve had got to recognize is the dual mandate depends importantly, or their weighting of the dual mandate depends on how far they are away from goal. So 3 years ago, when they were well north of the inflation goal of 2%, everything was centered on inflation. So the weight on the inflation goal was paramount. As they've gotten inflation down, the relative importance of employment has gone up. Hence, concerns about employment are much more impactful to the Fed decision today than it would have been a year ago.
I don't know,
and that's why they're moving.
I agree with everything you say, except for if you listen to the language of all the Fed speakers, including just this morning, voter from St. Louis, they don't seem convinced that inflation is not going to be a persistent problem. And they also tend to fight the last war, and they felt burned by saying transitory when it wasn't transitory. And I'm not hearing like the leaning that I would expect to hear toward the September cut, given the weaker unemployment report.
I think there's a couple points there. You asked me what I think they'll do, not what I think they should do. And second, agree completely. They could be in a world of hurt in a few months if, as the word Carl is using, tariffs seep into prices and inflation backs up even more, and employment is still pretty well maintained. The key word is they're going to be cutting rates despite inflation because of their concern about unemployment. As long they have to accept that disinflation is stalled out. As long as inflation doesn't back up too much, they're willing to accept that, but they don't like it. Hence, you're not going to hear many bank presidents swim up to cutting rates with enthusiasm. They're doing it despite their longer run responsibilities toward price stability because of their immediate concern for employment.
It's going to be interesting to talk about pain thresholds if this continues. We'll see what we get in the weeks to come, Vincent. Thank you so much. Talk soon. Vincent Reinhart.
Thank you.
White House Senior Counselor for Trade and Manufacturing Peter Navarro is with us after the break.